The other week, my girlfriend and I were out for a walk in our neighborhood when we were walking down one of the side streets, and we looked over and we saw these two cars facing each other in the middle of the street. Now, on the side streets in our neighborhood, a lot of them only have room for one car to pass at a time because the streets are relatively narrow and there's cars parked on either side. So the courtesy is to whoever kind of was there first, the other person pulls over, waits for them to go through before the next car passes. But we looked over and these two cars were obviously stopped in the middle of the road, facing each other, having a standoff. The one guy out of the one car got out. He was this big guy with a big beard and tattoos, and he went kind of barreling over to the other car and started yelling at the other man in his car through his window. The other man kept his window up and just sat there, not doing or saying anything yet. So I saw this was happening and I walked over and I said, "What's going on here?" And I could see what was happening. They were having the standoff and the big guy looked at me and he said, "Mind your own business, lady, and stay out of it." And I looked at him and I said, "Actually, this is my business. This is my neighborhood. This is where my children play, and not really interested in having two grown men having a big fight and standoff in the middle of the street in my neighborhood. So what's happening and what do we need to do about it?" And he kind of was like, "Well, this guy is saying all these profanities, is sitting here and not moving out of the way, and like he's being such a long other string of profanities." I was like, "You know what? You are probably right in this situation, but it's really not worth having a fight over." And he's like, "Well, you don't get to decide." And I said, "Yeah, you're right. I don't get to decide that, but it's not worth ruining your whole day over." And he said, "Well, yeah, but it's not going to ruin my whole day." And I said, "Yeah, it is. This is something that doesn't need to happen right now. You can be right, and you can insist on being right, and you can fight to be right, but what happens then?" And he kind of got back into his car, and at this point the other man had kind of started to back up and just sort of saw that, someone had to back down, and this other man in his car decided to back up and move to the side. And as this other man got in his car and started driving, he had his windows open, and I said, "I hope this doesn't ruin the rest of your day." And he's like, "Well, it's not going to ruin the rest of my day." And I said, "Well, it kind of is, because you've just let yourself get really upset about a small thing. You were almost ready to fight this guy. And if you are so upset about this, then it shows me that you're a fairly sensitive person. So it's not going to be something that you're going to be able to let go easily. You can be right, and you are right, and you can fight to be right, but what is the cost to that?" And at the end of the day, we're all in this together. So you can let him be a dick, but you don't have to be, and that is your choice, and that is your piece that you get to decide whether or not you're going to keep or give away. And he kind of looked at me, he's like, "Okay, you're right." And I said, "Have a really good day. I hope that it gets better than this." And he drove off. Now, I am not really afraid of inserting myself into other situations, especially in my neighborhood where I feel like, yeah, I'm not really okay with two men having a big brawl in the middle of my neighborhood where my children are, where I like to go out and feel safe and feel like there's a sense of harmony. And two grown men fighting over who gets to go first is not a fight that should be happening. But it tells me, and it shows me, and it reiterates the fact that a lot of us are going through our days feeling tense, feeling angry, feeling frustrated, ready for one little thing to set us off, and then letting those things set us off. But when it comes to things like this, when it comes to circumstances like this, when we are tense, feeling frustrated, ready to get angry, flip out, freak out, fight to the death, not literally, but emotionally, what do? First of all, we have to ask ourselves, why am I walking through life ready for a fight, on guard, in defensive mode? Why am I riding on such a high level of tension that something small like this can make me ready to literally get out and fight someone? If that's with words, if that's with fists, if that's with the silent treatment, if that's with being passive aggressive, if that's with being full-blown aggressive. Asking ourselves, Why am I getting angry so easily? And then we need to ask ourselves, if I am willing to let myself get this angry and all in the pursuit of winning, what do I win? What do I really win? And I think about that for my own life when I have let my righteous indignation get the best of me, been in a parking lot, busy parking lot down by the beach, looking for a spot to park in, seeing a spot and thinking that it was mine to get into, and then someone else kind of pulling in at the last second, kind of sneaking in front of me, and me being so angry and, gonna say it, I have unrolled my window and said not very nice things and let myself getting really worked up, letting myself spew that anger onto that other person. And maybe it feels good in that second to get it off our chest and to just like spray it out there. But if you're like me, later on, it feels worse. Later on, we go through in our head, why did I say that? Or why did they do that? Or now I'm so upset. We blame them for making us so upset. We blame ourselves for letting ourselves get so worked up. It throws us off. It emotionally dysregulates us. And I'm going to say, letting your anger, your frustration, your righteous indignation get the best of you and reacting from it is going to feel worse than taking a breath, taking a step back, being pissed that that person did that, but not reacting to it. If you want to be able to say something like, hey, I was waiting for that spot, I'm kind of frustrated that you just like went in front of me and took it, but obviously you needed the spot more than me, or maybe you didn't do it on purpose, or I hope you have a good day, or whatever that is that you want to say that would be clean and classy, being assertive, but not in a rude or aggressive way. But asking yourself, is it going to feel better to just spew that anger and that hate, to be right, to win? Is that going to throw me off more than being frustrated, being annoyed, being upset that somebody else did something that we don't think was right, and taking a breath and moving on? I'm not saying it feels good when people do crappy things. I'm not saying it feels good when people are rude or inconsiderate or do things that are unfair or unthoughtful or downright mean. But asking yourself, how do I want to handle this? Is every mountain the mountain that I want to die on? Maybe there are some things that I want to stand very firm in and not waver, but does that mean I am rude or aggressive or hateful or trying to hurt someone? Never. That means that I take a step back and I ask myself, what do I want to say? How do I want to say it? Or do I want to say anything at all? Now, if you are someone who never says anything and you just sort of stuff things inside and you stuff it down and you have a lot of bitterness and resentment and anger boiling inside because you take a lot of crap and never do anything about it, I'm not saying that. I'm saying you make a conscious choice to decide which fights are worth having. And if it is a confrontation that is worth having, really being intentional about how you are communicating, how you are expressing your feelings of frustration or anger or injustice or unfairness, keeping that communication clean, clear, and classy. Another term that I use that I teach the members of my membership community, the Shift Society, I tell them to say it, don't spray it. When you need to say something, when it's important for you to say something, and there are absolutely times when it is important that we stand firm, we stand tall, but we are not aggressive. So if you can imagine yourself, you are standing firm in your convictions, in your perspective, in what you need and want to say, to speak up for yourself, to be taking good care of yourself. Standing up for that is not being aggressive. It's not lurching forward. It's not trying to push somebody else down. But then at the same time, it's not just laying down all the time and letting people walk all over us. And choosing when to selectively not engage in confrontation is not the same as letting people walk all over us. It's saying, is this peace that I would like to keep worth sacrificing for this cause? Sometimes it's yes. A lot of times it's no. So it's making a conscious choice. And if I do want to address it, how do I want to address it? Clean, clear, classy. Say it, don't spray it. So often we get stuck in anger and we spew that anger without actually asking ourselves, what is the cost of letting this anger take over and win? Will I really win if I am right? If I prove it in a way that is hurtful or harmful or degrading or aggressive towards another human being? So really looking at, if you are a highly sensitive person, and you are a highly sensitive person if you have big emotions that come out in any way, shape, or form, then learning how to regulate that, how to manage yourself within that. Sometimes it requires digging a little deeper if this anger and this emotionality, this high reactivity, is the result of past pain, struggle, shame, trauma, painful things that you've been through in your past, then that's going to require a little bit more. But in the meantime, bringing yourself into your conscious mind and asking yourself, is this worth disrupting my peace for? And if it is, how do I want to handle it in a way that is not going to cost me later on? If you are a highly sensitive person and processing emotions and dealing with big feelings is something you struggle with, I have something that's going to help you a lot. It's the Sensitive Person's Guide to Handling Big Feelings. You can grab that. It's a resource. It's actually a workshop that I have available at a really exclusive offer right now. And you can also choose to add a trial membership into my membership community, the Shift Society, with that when you grab it. So you get kind of two things for the price of less than one. Make sure you check that out in the description below. And I want to ask you now, what of this connected with you? What of this are you like, that made sense? Let me know. Love having those discussions and that feedback from you in the comment section below. Until next time, take good care of yourselves. Take good care of those around you. Make sure you get that Human's Guide to Handling Big Feelings. And bye for now.